All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wealth Building for Dummies podcast. My name is Kyle Demian, and I'll be your host today. And I'm joined with my co host, Renji Matthew. And today we're going to be talking about the road to financial freedom. We're going to talk about some pros and cons of different paths that you can take. We're going to talk about some different obstacles that you're going to face along your way. And we're going to talk about what we believe to be the best way to do it and the best way to get you there the quickest and in the most certain way possible. So, Renji, go ahead and start us off on, and actually, let's first define what financial freedom is, and let's start there.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Renji. Yeah, like Kyle said, financial freedom. What is that? I think everyone has to define it to them for themselves. But the way we see financial freedom is passive income above expenses, right? So I'll let me break that down a little bit. Let's say your expenses are 2,000 a month, right? And if your passive income is giving you 2,500 a month, now you're financially free because you have enough to pay your bills and you have 500 extra to live off of, right? So financial freedom in our eyes is you have enough income coming in to pay your bills and do something else with it. And then we've talked about this in the past where building wealth is just multiplying that to as many times as you want because now you know how to build passive income. Now you just multiply it, and that's where wealth builds in. So, Kyle, why don't we break down of what type of passive income we usually talk about, or we talked about different ones. What do we like the most?
Yeah. So typically we'll talk about real estate because we're both involved in real estate and real estate investing. And then other than that, I mean, there's so many different ways to build passive income. We've had, some people on our team that have used car washes, others that have used ice machines, others that have used vending machines, and what's another one? Billboards. And am I missing any? I'm missing some, but I just can't think of them right now. ATMs are another one.
Laundromats.
Laundromats. So anything that essentially you can buy as an asset and hold, and over time, not only is it going to appreciate in value, but it's also going to provide you monthly cash flow that you can use to then, yeah, become free. Right. So those are the assets that we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of going that route versus the pros and cons of going the more traditional route, which is with 401ks, IRAs, and a pension if you're lucky enough to receive one of those. So, Renji, you could start us off. Do you want to talk about the pros and cons of the traditional way, or do you want to go into the faster way through assets?
Sure, I can talk about traditional. So the most common way is people like to work till 65 and then retire once they're 65. I think the retirement age is up to 67 now, and I think they're talking about going up to 70 or whatever it is. But yeah, so we'll talk about pros and cons of that. So pros, if you like your job, you love what you're doing, hey, you're going to enjoy going to work every day, right? If on the other hand, cons, if you don't like what you do, then you're going to be dreading every day. You're like, oh man, I have to get up and go to work today. I have to do this today, right? Another pros and cons. If you have a family and you don't like what you do work wise, again, you're going to be dreading. It's like, oh, I have to. You miss out on your family time, and if you're working long hours, again, you're missing out on family time, and you're spending time with other people that you might not enjoy spending time with, right? On the other hand, on the con side, if you don't have a family and you enjoy what you do, you love going to work every day, right? Uh, Now, when you do retire at 65 or whatever age you retire, pros, hey, now you have the time to do whatever you want. Hopefully, you have enough invested in your 401k or IRA that you don't have to worry about income again. On the con side, hey, you don't know if you're not healthy, you're going to have to worry about all the health stuff. Let's say you need a hip replacement. Well, now you don't get to really enjoy your retirement like you hoped you would because now you're stuck in bed or you have to have surgery or whatever it may be, and you don't get to get the full quality of life that you hoped for, right? And another con is, hey, if you didn't save up enough, which happens a lot of people we talk to, if you didn't save up enough now, how are you going to enjoy retirement? because you don't have an income to survive. And a lot of times people are having to go back to work, or they don't get to retire when they planned to retire and having to work longer. So those are some of the basic pros and cons that you hear. But I'm sure if we went down the rabbit hole of talking about all the pros and cons, we'll be here for more than an hour. So anything you want to add on to that, Kyle?
No, I think you're spot on. And I think one con that you didn't touch on in that path is that if you are saving your money, especially into those different accounts you mentioned, is that like you're really locked in to that approach and to that path. And what I mean by that is any money from your 401k or your IRA that you want to take out and use prior to the age of 59 and a half, you may have to worry about taxes and or fees on it just for utilizing and using your money. So, if you go down that path and that approach, obviously there are some pros and there are some cons to weigh. And if that is your approach, there's nothing wrong with that. But our podcast just won't really be geared towards going that approach because we want to help you get free and retire sooner. And what are some of the pros and cons then of doing it the way that we talk about, which is getting into cash flowing assets and building up a monthly passive cash flow that is greater than your expenses, right? So number one pro will be, actually, let's start with the cons first, because there probably will be more cons than there will be pros at the beginning. And this is important to keep track of, or to make note of, I guess. But the cons will be that you're probably going to have some people in your ear that are going to be telling you that it's not going to work, or it's too risky, or it's not the right decision. And I always take a step back, and before I listen to anybody's recommendation or their advice, you have to analyze where they're at in their life and what have they done to build wealth, right? Because if there are people that are telling you it's too risky or to be careful, I'm guessing I would make the assumption that they haven't gone out and built wealth for themselves. Perfect explanation for myself. When I first got into the sales industry, my mom warned me, are you sure you want to be on a commission basis? Like, what if you don't sell anything that month? You're not going to have any money. And yeah, if I didn't sell anything, I might not have any money. But my plan is not to go out there for a full 30 days and not sell anything. Like, no, I'm going to sell something. I'm going to help somebody. And that was the mindset that I had to have. And I love my mom, but where's her mindset coming from? She's been working a job her entire life. And I don't know if she's ever been on a commission-based position, but it's something that was new to her, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I had friends and mentors and people in the business I looked up to that were making $10, $20, $30,000 a month in the position that I wanted to be and I wanted to get to. They never once told me about how risky it was going to be. It was just kind of them assuming that, no, when you enter in this business, you're going to be successful, you're going to grow, and you're going to accumulate and build a large business. There was no talk about the failures, because with their mentorship and following a system, it can be done. So that may be one of the cons. People are going to tell you to be careful and maybe not take too much risk. Other cons would be that, especially if you're getting into real estate, it might take some money up front. So you may have to save up, and you might not be able to do it for the first 2 to 4 years. But that's okay. Use that 2 to 4 years to stack your cash, and then start to learn the game. Start to learn the business, because it is a business, right? Start to learn the environment and prepare for getting into your first deal. And after that, the last con that I can think of would be that it kind of goes along with preparation, but making sure that you're actually going to get a deal that's going to work. Don't take any risks inside of a deal that may or may not make sense, but especially for your first one, you should probably secure a property that's almost guaranteed to cash flow, right? Something that's not going to be too risky, but something that's at least going to get your feet wet and get you involved in real estate, especially if we just start and focus on real estate. Renji, what did I miss any cons while we're talking about the cons before we go into any pros?
No, I think you hit all the right things, and one of the things I would add is your mindset. You're gonna go through a roller coaster of emotions, right? Is this deal gonna work? Is this deal gonna not work? All that stuff. But that's where, like Kyle said, most people that we look up to, they never talk about those things, because you go into the mindset with, or you go into whatever you're doing with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to be successful in this. and not saying financially you might be successful, but you gotta have the thought process of, okay, no matter what comes my way, I'm gonna learn how to overcome it and keep going with it, because I know this is because there's so many people that are successful in whatever business you want to get into. If they're doing it and they're doing it the right way, you can do it the right way too. But what might be the biggest difference between the people that make it and that don't make it is their mindset. The people that make it, no matter what comes their way, they push through, they find the solutions, they solve the problems that need to be solved to get to that spot. The people that don't make it, they gave up too easily. And so you're going to have those roller coaster of emotions going up and down in the good and the bad. You're going to go through those roller coasters of emotions.
Absolutely. And the one other con I thought of while you were talking was that it's going to be more work, right? Your job is typically, 9 to 5, and that's all you're working for the day. If you have a 9 to 5 job, usually you're done after work when you go home. When you get into, wanting to build wealth, there's a reason not everybody does it. To be able to build wealth and to become, even in the top 5% of, maybe annual earners a year, it's not that it's easy. No, it's definitely going to take some work. So it's going to take extra time. But like we said, you have that choice. Would you rather spend a little bit extra time now to help you get financially free sooner? Or would you rather wait 40 years until you're in your 60s or 70s to be able to retire and then be able to enjoy what little time that you have left at that time? Right? So it's pros and cons that you have to weigh out. Some of the pros that you can get though from getting into assets and building wealth is just your personal growth. Like number one, you are going to grow so much as an individual and as a person once you become a business owner and once you start acquiring assets, because you're doing something unlike the majority of people in the United States. Most people stay inside their comfort zone their entire life and they never expand outside of it. By you even talking about getting into real estate, you're already going to separate yourself from the majority of people that never even consider the opportunity to become an investor and to be able to retire sooner than in their 60s. So you're going to grow just as a person. And then obviously from there, what other pros come with it? The freedom to be able to do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want. It's not going to be right away. Remember, the short term, you're going to have to sacrifice some time, but for long term freedom that would come with it. And with that also comes being able to build wealth and pass on a legacy and be able to pass on wealth for generations. That comes once you start building up passive cash flow, and then it just becomes a game of how to scale it. And then once you scale it, you've got to protect your assets. And there's different ways to do that, whether it's from taxes and or the government, or just even from, creditors and people that could potentially come after you to sue you. That's why we talk about, LLCs, wills, trusts, utilizing life insurance and different avenues like that. But the main three pros are the wealth that can come from it, the freedom, and then the growth. Growth as you for you as a person, becoming and evolving into something that's going to be able to, leave a lasting impact on your family for years to come. Right. So Renji, was there any other pros that I missed out on or anything else you want to add there?
No, that's great. And like going, piggybacking off what you just ended with, the life that you want to live and all that. Like, you also got to look at the type of person you are. Are you the type of person that likes, has enjoyment by giving to other people, or are you the type that wants to go spend all that money on yourself and stuff like that? Either way, it is, when you build wealth, it's just going to multiply that more. So if you are pleased to give money to people, if you feel happy and have a true joy of giving to people, building wealth is only going to multiply that. Now you have more money to do that with. You know, if,
Yeah.
if you don't, and if you go the traditional route, you're going to have the same type of emotions with the passive income or traditional route. The difference is, in a traditional route, you might feel that over time, right? Because now
Yeah.
you're also thinking about, okay, I'm working for a boss. What if your boss is not a good person? And they're scream at you all the time. You're going to go through those mental emotions even then. But like Kyle mentioned, if you're starting a business and building your own wealth, yes, it's going to be hard at first. You're going to have those roller coasters of emotions at first, but as you get better, as you learn to do things better and make it more efficient, your mindset's going to change to a lot of things. Now, those things that come in the start is not going to affect you the same way if it comes later, because now you've grown mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all that stuff. So those things won't affect you the same way. So in turn, that's not only helping you grow, your family is going to benefit from that. All the people you interact with is going to benefit from that because they're going to see you as a calm, collective person. Because hey, what bothered him before doesn't bother him anymore. So it's not only building wealth and business; it's building you personally and your family. So many more things.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's a good place to end. We've been going for about 15 minutes. So are you cool with that? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think in a
Okay.
future podcast we could talk about more ways of building passive income and different types of accounts that are out there because there's
Yeah.
so many things we could talk about. But I think this one is a good, yeah, like you said, I think it's a good way to end this one.
Awesome. So there's your road to freedom. We really only have one of two paths we can take. We dove down the pros and cons of each, and now it's up to you to determine, what is your dream and what is your aspiration? Which route do you want to take? If there's anything that we can do to help you out, that's what we're here for. That's what we do. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Wealth Building for Dummies podcast. My name is Kyle Demian. We have Renji Matthew here with us as well. Our social media links are going to be pinned below the video. You should see them here popping up right now magically on the video as you're watching it. And if we could be of any assistance to you guys, just let us know. And until next time, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel here. And if you guys have anything in particular that you want us to cover in future episodes, drop it in the comments. Let us know below because we're here to serve you guys and cover topics that are going to be interesting to you and that hopefully we can help you kind of break down and learn more about. So we're here to help and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.